Yeah, all right, family. It's been a minute. I've been lacking with content lately. It's really because I've been lazy. Uh, I'm doing what I do normally all the time. I'm working, taking care of my family, but I just really been lazy. Surveying what's going on in black society like I always do, but I just really haven't been putting out content. Just kind of, I don't know, not motivated, I guess. Whatever the case may be. But anyway, I want to talk about the movie The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks. I just saw the movie actually last night. Um, Pretty interesting movie. This is more like a overview, not a review, because I really want to touch on certain things that happened throughout the course of the movie and how this ties directly in with Black society's issues with mental illness. And that's something I've always been talking about. That Black people suffer from, a plethora of mental illnesses, mental disorders, and it's been prevalent within this movie. Uh, and I'm gonna talk about this and just give you guys my thoughts about the things that have happened throughout the movie, and how it just ties directly in with what Black society has been plaguing with for such a long time regarding mental illness, mental disorders, etc. Um, so yeah, family. This is a really interesting movie. I have not read the book by Rebecca Skloot, and for those of you who don't know, this was a biopic based off of the novel by Rebecca Skloot, who is a white female science writer, independent freelance science writer slash journalist, and so she covers topics regarding science, evolution, etc. And she became very interested in the Henrietta Lacks story. And even I'm gonna tell you, based off what I've read in the excerpts, she's really, when it comes to journalism, that's what you have to do. You have to dig deep, find the information, find the primary sources, and get that information. And that's what she's done. And I applaud her for that. There's a lot of things I didn't know about regarding Henrietta Lacks. I did not know that Henrietta Lacks was born Loretta Pleasant in Roanoke, Virginia. That's her real name, and then she changed her name to Henrietta Lacks. But her name was actually Loretta Pleasant. She was born August 1st, 1920. So I didn't know that. I knew about the sales. I knew about Hella. I knew about that. But I didn't know about her real name was you know Loretta Pleasant. So that was pretty interesting. But just to give you guys a brief scenario about Henrietta Lacks, if those of you don't know, Henrietta Lacks is a science marvel, and this is something that is not new. The dominant white society has always studied, black genetics. They know and understand that black genetics is superior to any race. You know, um, so studying black people in terms of their cells, anything regarding the anatomy of people of African Americans, people classified as black, they have been studying us for centuries, since 1505. Okay, study the transatlantic slave trade timeline. That's how long they've been studying our anatomy and understanding how genetically we're so far advanced than any other race. But uh, basically, Henrietta Lacks developed cervical cancer at the age of 30. This was in 1951, and basically, Henrietta, she discovered a lump inside her cervix. She went to the doctor. It was like, somebody got to check me out. I feel a lump, and I don't know what's going on. So later, it developed into a tumor, and the growth rate just increased dramatically, and it went into a rogue stage of cancer, and she died within 8 months after developed that she developed that small lump within her cervix. And so the doctors were so marveled about the growth rate of the cancerous cells and stuff like that. They took her cells without her knowledge, and ever since 1951, her cells have basically been immortal, like the book says. They have been studied, researched, etc., passed around through hundreds, if not millions, of facilities around the world, and billions upon billions upon billions upon billions of dollars have been made because of scientific research, etc., because of Henrietta Lacks cells, known as Hella. And they try to give her, a dominant white society code name. Oh, well, who's the person that did it? It was Helen Lane. That's what they wanted to, Henrietta Lacks. That name, even back then, like a name like Henrietta Lacks back then, okay, that's considered one of those resume names where, okay, that's a black sounding name, right? So in today's society, so someone like I don't know, like a Shakita Miller, that's a black sounding name. But back then, Henrietta Lacks was the black sounding name. So they wanted to change the name to, or kind of like make it reference to a more white American name. So they said, well, let's attach it to Helen Lane as opposed to Henrietta Lacks. But they took the first two letters, H-E, and the last name, L-A, and codenamed the cells Hella. So the Hella cells have been prevalent among, modern science in terms of research and study since 1951. And like I said, it's been making billions upon billions upon billions of dollars. So the story itself was intriguing. Like I said, I'm really probably want to go ahead and get that book by Rebecca Skloot, Rebecca Skloot. It really is in depth. I'm reading some of the excerpts right now from her book, and it's very, very, very interesting, And the actual movie was very, very interesting. You had Oprah Winfrey playing Deborah, the daughter of Henrietta Lacks, and she suffered from a plethora of mental illnesses because her mother passed away when she was very young, only 2 years old. And they played, the clip of her funeral procession. I found that very, what's the word I'm looking for? It was very eerie how they did the funeral procession out in the rain. And you had young children, 2 years old, out there in the funeral procession looking at a casket. And they showed a clip of Oprah out in the burial site where her mother, Henrietta Lacks, which she's in an unmarked grave until this day. The grave is unmarked. And it was raining, and Oprah, she plays Deborah, had a flashback of when she was 2 years old of her mother, Henrietta Lacks, being buried or going through the funeral procession. And man, Deborah went through a whole lot. Raped. Mother died at a young age. So that left an empty void, and abuse, sexual abuse, mental abuse, physical abuse, you name it. It's prevalent in this movie, and it's prevalent and dominant in black society. Excuse me. Morning sinuses. But yeah, it's, like I said, physical abuse, mental abuse, sexual abuse, the lack of a two-parent household where your mother or your father is not in your life, right? Or even both, for that case. And when you have one of your parents or both of your parents not there, that's a void that needs to be filled. And when you grow up later on in life, you are seeking ways to fill that void. In Oprah's case, she plays Deborah, she was seeking more information about her mother that she didn't know. She wanted her mother was not there physically, but she wanted to know more information. So anybody that was willing to get information about her mother, right, she would want to go ahead and do. Coupled with the fact that she still had a plethora of trust issues, schizophrenia, like I said, mental disorders, because of that surrounding issue of how she was raised, epigenetics, etc., which I always talk about, epigenetics. But she still wanted to fill that void in terms of getting the information about her mother that she didn't know, right? So that's prevalent. Like I said, that type of situation is prevalent among Black society. Again, I've always said that the Black family structure has been on life support since the 1960s, from a documented standpoint. But it's been on life support since 1505. To be honest, that's 500 years, right? So over 500 years of systemic oppression, disenfranchisement, subjugation, execution, marginalization, right, etc. Over 500 years, yes, you best believe that Black people are going to suffer from a plethora of mental disorders. And that's due to surroundings and due to your upbringing. That's due to circumstances that was created that's outside of your control. But at the same time, you have some of these Negroes that say, well, we got to work on ourselves. We got to stick together. What about Black on Black crime? Yeah, okay. Again, you got to come up with, you got to be more creative than the Black on Black crime thing. You have to be more creative. Because that argument has been shot down. I've shot down that argument thousands of times. Okay? Be more creative with that kind of argument, that circular logic. It's been proven and debunked so many times by myself. So you got to come correct. You got to come more creative than that. All right? You really do. All right? You really do. But, yeah, family, this movie just proves to you, and coupled with the fact that there was another scene I wanted to say where Oprah, she has another moment, another spaz out moment about, because she does in the movie, she suffers from schizophrenia. And the rest of her family members as well, her siblings rather, they suffer from a plethora of mental disorders. Okay. And there was a clip where she basically went crazy. And I believe a relative or something like that tried to console her. And he basically said, you got to trust God. You got to trust Jesus. Right? So that is another pattern and condition within Black society since 1505 where, and listen, about religion, I've always talked about religion and stuff like that. Listen, if you're religious, you're Christian, you follow one of the Abrahamic faiths, Christianity, Judaism, Islam, etc. That's you. That's your faith. That's you. But what I'm saying is, it's prevalent and it's historic that Black people, they cling to religion when times are hard or there is a tumultuous issue within their lives, right? Because if you go back into my videos, right, go back into my older videos, I always talk about religion is just a coping mechanism for white supremacy. That's it. That's all it is. It's a coping mechanism. It's, the churches within quote unquote Black neighborhoods or Black communities on every corner, right, are naturally in lower income areas, right? And all you got to do is check the zip codes. When businesses want to research an area, they check the zip codes. They do what's called redlining. They try to see, okay, based off this zip code, what's the average income area per household? And how many people are classified as Black in this area? Let's physically go to this area. Okay, I see a whole bunch of churches here. Okay, I see some liquor stores. Let's put in some nice fast food chain that we know that black people are going to go to religiously, right? Like a Popeyes or Church's Chicken. That's how the whole thing about surveying for businesses in so-called black communities. That's how that starts, right? But in terms of religion, right? Like I said, it's just a coping mechanism for white supremacy. That's what it is. You can take what I say as a grain of salt, but that's my opinion. And based off history, that's been proven since 1505. Okay? And officially since 1896, the Plessy versus Ferguson case, because that sparked the whole blackenized society thing where if white people could do it, black people could do it. Let's start our own black church. Let's start our own black fraternity and sororities, right? Et cetera, et cetera. That's how that really officially started. Okay. So when you have a situation where you are discriminated upon to start certain things, like the dominant white society, you start your own thing and call it a black version of that thing. And that's on all 9 areas of activity: economics, education, entertainment, labor law, politics, religion, sex, and war. All right? That's all 9 areas. So, again, like I said, religion throughout history for black people has just been a coping mechanism for white supremacy. That's really what it comes down to. That's what it is. But yeah, within the movie family, like I said, it's a lot of issues like that. You see, like I said, physical, mental abuse, sexual abuse, rape, religion, right? There's a plethora of issues regarding health issues, right? Et cetera, et cetera. You name it. This is the type of issues that black society still suffers from till this day. So it was no different back in the 1950s, 40s, et cetera, or earlier than that. It's no different today. No different. So, yeah, family. I like, just like I said, it's not really a review of the movie. It's just an overview based off certain aspects I've seen in the film that is a direct reflection of black society today and what black people are suffering from today. It's not changed. It's not changed. Technology has changed, but the narrative has not changed. Blacks collectively as a group we are still at the bottom of the totem pole when it comes to owning and controlling our own resources. We're still at the bottom. It's funny because just the other day I was at a Crime Watch meeting, and this lady, she said she was 63 years old. She asked a question about, I just, when I have a decorum. When older people talk, I listen. I don't say nothing. I just keep quiet. But this lady was like, well, I'm 63 years old. I'm trying to figure out why. And this is not verbatim. I'm just basically, what's the word I'm looking for? This is not word for word what she said, basically. But she was basically saying, I'm 63 years old, and I'm trying to figure out why I live in Miami Gardens, a predominantly black city, but yet you have all these other businesses who don't look like us. They come into our community, and they set up shop. I'm thinking like, duh. What do you expect? Black businesses are not going to get incentives. They're going to bring in people who are going to bring in revenue for the city, as much revenue they can, because they know those kind of businesses historically generate more money than some kind of random black business. Right? So That's what I was thinking in my mind. If we're at an age of that 63 years old and not knowing what's going on, we got a long way to go. You know, you don't know what's going on within your own community and why. You're talking about where does the money go? It doesn't go back in our hands. So, we got a long way to go in terms of that in your 60s, and you're asking a question about that. So, anyway, those are my thoughts about, or the overview about the movie, The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks. And I thought it was a good movie. And I was just more intrigued about the issues within the movie that are plaguing Black society today. And I just wanted to give you guys my thoughts on that. And just, again, proves that Black people suffer from mental disorders. It's just that simple. So if you see the movie, family, leave your thoughts down below. I'll have more content throughout the week. I'll just be more consistent. I don't like I said earlier in other videos, I don't really have a schedule in terms of releasing content. I just put out a video when I feel like it. But at minimum, I'll have a video once a week. So this is technically, I'm falling in line to what I've actually said. But usually I have multiple videos throughout the week. But I'll have more content throughout the week, family. So rest assured, I'll give you guys my thoughts on certain things, and we'll go from there. All right, family, this is Chauncey, a.k.a. The Black Separatist. Make sure you follow me on social media, Instagram and Twitter at The Black Separatist. Both links will be down below in the description. All right, and if you can, donate to my PayPal email. I'll be working on a documentary, all right, regarding the Black family structure. That will also be down in the description. Till next time, family, Chauncey, a.k.a. The Black Separatist, signing out. Peace.